Hello, you beautiful legends, and welcome to another episode of Ben and Joel Reviews. I'm Ben.
And I'm Joel.
And this is the podcast where we discuss movies, TV shows, and theatre.
And whatever else we want.
So please, sit back, relax, and let's dive in. Hello. We hope you are well.
Yeah, we hope you're doing just fine.
We hope you've had a good week.
Yeah.
How has your week been?
It was good up until about 3 hours ago. Because of what we've just witnessed.
Yeah. My week has been kind of 50-50. There's been a few ups and downs, and I was thinking, at the end of the week, I'll try and do something that will, really cheer me up.
Yeah, we'll do the pod and feel good about it. Oh, we really don't, do we? Not today.
I can't actually think of a worse way to end the week.
Can we just talk about everything prior to what we've just witnessed? Like, just talk about our weeks for this episode and just forego the film. I think that'd be better for our mental health than this.
So, yeah, as you would have clearly have seen in the thumbnail, we are going to review Keith Lemon, the film.
Yeah, I think you could put the film in quotation marks because I think it barely qualifies, to be honest with you. So before we jump in, I want to just give a bit of context because I don't think people that outside of the UK will really understand the concept of Keith Lemon. So Keith Lemon is a character that is very present in sort of reality TV.
Yep.
I suppose, played by a guy called Lee Francis. Lee Francis got his start doing a lot of kind of sketch comedy, such as Beau Selector, which very much falls into that category, as you probably couldn't get away with making that now. Very similar to Little Britain, and things of that nature. And so that, if you have a sense of what those shows are, that's the sort of brand of humour that Lee Francis sort of markets. He created this character called Keith Lemon that hosted a TV show back in the sort of between 2010, maybe 2008 to 2014 or something.
Something like that.
Celebrity Juice, which was a game show, panel show with a lot of British celebrities, sort of B-list, C-list and below celebrities. And for some reason, it was really popular. I think it was popular with a certain demographic of sort of teenage boys who thought just someone yelling profuse phallic jokes and making lewd remarks at women was hilarious.
I mean, I remember a lot of kids back when we were in school who would shout "potato" all the time.
Yeah, it was really prevalent when we were growing up in school.
Yeah,
and for some reason it was really successful. And obviously, to kind of capitalise on this, they've made in 2012 Keith Lemon the movie. And I think this review will speak for itself about how bad it really is.
Yeah. I just want to say, before we dive into the details of it, and before we discuss the plot and all the characters and the cameos, everything about this film, I just have to say it's so bad. This film is awful.
Yeah. And sometimes you watch a bad film, but it's so bad it's good, or you can have a good bit of a laugh at it, and so it has a bit of a redeeming quality. This really didn't even have that going for it at all.
No, it's so bad, it's just painful.
Yeah. When we've reviewed things in the past, we're usually pretty keen to watch and review, and we'll watch things in one straight shot. We'll pause to take notes when we need to kind of catch up, so we're not missing anything. But generally speaking, we don't even pause. We paused this so many times, and multiple times had to have a couple of minute breaks. Even at one point, we literally just had to leave the room and go. I needed a cigarette, to be quite honest with you.
Yep.
Don't smoke, children. Let that be the lesson from today's podcast. Don't smoke and don't watch Keith Lemon the movie. And if you're given a choice between the two, start smoking. So I was trying to find some information on the budget of this because I really wanted to know how much it would have cost to get all these sort of B-list, C-list celebrity cameos in this film, but I cannot find any budgeting information anywhere. We know it made about 5 million at the box office.
Yep.
But in my search, I did find this review on Rotten Tomatoes that I think kind of sums it up pretty neatly. I haven't laughed this much since my mother was diagnosed with terminal cancer shortly before passing away. Yeah.
I think that pretty much sums it up, really.
Yeah. And that's the end of the episode, guys. So go to the Instagram and stuff.
Kept it very short and sweet today.
Yeah. No, so top down like normal, I assume.
Yeah. The first thing I noticed that I noted down is that this film was distributed by Lionsgate.
Yeah, and I don't understand why they would have thought this was a marketable idea. Like, I get that, they saw that Celebrity Juice was popular and this character could potentially have been marketable, but everything else surrounding it just really isn't. And trying to take this caricature of a character and trying to put it in a film where it's supposed to be taken at least semi-seriously just doesn't work.
No, absolutely not.
You'd think, though, them as a distributor might understand that a bit better.
Yep.
But hey-ho, they made the mistake, not us.
Yeah. The film opens with a scene.
Yeah, setting the tone.
Literally opens with Keith Lemon and actress and model Kelly Brook making all sorts of noises.
I'm gonna blow me beans. What he says.
And then it's revealed to be a dream, isn't it? And who is it? It's Craig David.
Yeah.
But it's not Craig David.
Yeah, it's the Craig David mask thing that Lee Francis did from Bo Selectra, if anyone remembers that Craig David himself famously hates and dubs as racist, and the headline was it was racist and ruined his life.
I agree. Because, it's Keith Lemon wearing a mask, but you could argue that it's still blackface.
Yeah, it's distasteful. It's very distasteful.
Yeah.
And so the fact that it even cropped up in the film in 2012, when Bo Selector had been over for about 4 years at that point, I think, was quite surprising.
Again, if you're listening and you have no idea what we're talking about, just Google it.
Yeah, go on YouTube or
just
something.
Just Google Craig David, Bo Selector, and you'll know what we're on about when you see it pop up. And this is another thing, right? So there's a lot of references in this film to his previous shows. There's references to Bo Selector. There's references to Celebrity Juice.
Yeah.
We were watching clips of Bo Selector while watching the film.
Yeah, because we needed to take a break.
I've never seen Bo Selector.
Yeah.
I have seen some of Celebrity Juice. Never found it funny.
Yeah.
And the clips we watched of Bo Selector, I just didn't find funny. I was literally sat there, completely straight-faced, thinking, where's the punchline here? When am I supposed to laugh?
Yeah.
And, most likely, there had to have been people who watched these shows and thought they were funny and entertaining because the shows went on for quite a long time. As you said, they were quite popular.
Yeah, and I think it was one of those things, like, especially when you were in school, about our age growing up, and, when you were young, everyone was talking about it, and so if you weren't watching it, you were the weirdo that has not seen Celebrity Juice. So I feel like a lot of kids our age at that period of time would have watched Celebrity Juice based on peer pressure.
Yeah, probably. That's school in a nutshell, really. If you're not watching or listening to or doing the most popular thing going around, what are you doing? Why are you here? Are you living under a rock?
Yeah, that's why I think the sort of target audience, the demographic is like 14 to 16-year-old boys who think penis jokes are the height of humour. Which, they can be funny when done properly, but when it's just literally someone shouting penis, it's really not.
There's a certain individual who's doing that now. I'm very hesitant to say this person's name because he does have a very large following, but his influence on young boys in particular is extremely negative. I think you know who I'm on about.
Yes.
And if anyone listening to this, you will also probably know who I'm talking about here. In fact, f*** it. I'm not scared of the guy. Andrew Tate. You know, he is someone right now who, for some reason, he's very popular on social media, and his influence is having an extremely negative impact on young teenage boys.
I think it's because of the idea of being controversial or edgy. And I wonder if this, I do think maybe this applies to Keith Lemon as well, is the humour is really crass. It's really crude. And I think some of Andrew Tate's opinions are really, crass and archaic. And to say them so boldly is controversial, and therefore like, ooh, how, this guy will say the controversial things, so we like him, sort of thing. And sort of just latching onto it, whether there's any truth in it or not, which the isn't. But people latch onto the controversial people because they're entertaining to watch.
It was the same with the Paul brothers. You know, they became really popular, and then their influence was having a slight negative impact on people.
Oh yeah, they were making so many headlines. But then you kind of have to respect maybe Logan. Which one's which?
Logan's the one who has a podcast.
Yeah, so I think Logan has matured somewhat, and I think he's gone on a little journey of salvation, which is quite...
I think Jake has... I don't think he has as much as Logan. I think Jake has to a certain degree.
Yeah, but they've recognised the past behaviour and tried to sort of change their persona to be a bit more of a positive influence, which I can kind of respect, despite not really being a huge fan.
Yeah, no, as we know that these people, Logan and Jake Paul, Andrew Tate, we know that in the past they have had extremely negative impacts on people. But, as we've seen with Logan and Jake, and even with Keith Lemon, I think he's changed a lot over time as well.
Yeah, well, I think he did an ITV... I think he did an ITV show a little bit ago where he wasn't even Keith Lemon. I think he sort of dropped that persona now. I think that no longer exists. Maybe because of this movie flopping.
Probably.
But he was Lee Francis, and he would do like celebrity interviews, but they'd just go shopping. And they'd just be mooching around a little shop. Because I'm a big Busted fan, and Busted did an episode. Busted, and I remember being quite like, okay, that's an interesting concept. They're doing an episode, but they're like shopping in a garden centre or something. Yeah. And so that, like, there's bits where they're talking about what they're doing and how their career's going and all that stuff that you're tuning in for. But then they're just commenting on like things they find in the aisles and cracking jokes. And I feel like that's where Lee Francis's like level of entertainment and humour thrives, is that very... I just...
What? Was that what that slight crackle was?
Might have been.
Anyway,
I was really trying to hold that in. Very sorry. But it's like that's where I think his level of like comedy and entertainment thrives, is where he's riffing off of another celebrity, and it's more kind of interviewee. It's more it's more focused on the other person, and he's just kind of there to kind of interject and compliment that. I feel like that's where he works. So putting him in a film,
I mean, the film was clearly made due to the popularity of the character of Keith Lemon. And we've seen this happen a number of times when someone or, a character...
Sorry.
You're right.
No. Okay, keep going.
When a character becomes extremely popular, and somehow a movie gets made, and we've seen this happen a number of times. So it's happened with Keith Lemon, it happened with Harry Hill, it's happened with Fred.
Fred, the
YouTube channel
guy.
They made three movies about Fred, and they are all terrible. We will have to review them.
Oh, for f***'s sake, then.
They're all really, really bad. There was one with Smosh. Yeah, that was terrible. KSI did one with...
KSI?
Yeah, KSI was in a movie called Laid in America, which is also really bad.
Oh, God.
I love KSI.
I'm seeing a trend here.
Yeah, I really like KSI, but the film is really bad. These movies are not made for the love of filmmaking, for the love of storytelling.
No.
They are simply made because they are based on an already existing property that has a very large fan base, and so producers, investors, distributors, they will all see this and think, right, we need to make a movie based on this product, get it out there for the viewers to watch, and we can make a shitload of money out of this.
It's a cash grab.
That is literally it in a nutshell. It's a cash grab.
So where were we with the film?
So it opens on a sex scene with Keith Lemon and Kelly Brook.
Yes.
It's then revealed that he's dreaming because he sees a few weird things going on. And she says, like, oh, you're dreaming. I would never be with someone like you.
Yeah.
And then Keith Lemon, dressed as Craig David, comes in. Very insensitive, slightly racist. And then Keith Lemon wakes up in his bed.
Yeah. You commented on the transition of this because it zooms into his mouth.
Oh, yeah.
But it's very, very clearly done in post-production.
It's so terrible.
You like how YouTubers that have like the face cam will cut to them and sometimes zoom in. But clearly do it in the editing. It was that level of
So
And so he's in his bed and he's getting a phone call from his partner, girlfriend.
His girlfriend, Rosie.
And it's that typical thing of like, I was just dreaming about you. And she's like, oh, anything nice? And he says, I see gold all over your bangers. And then for some reason he leans over and he starts eating a mashed potato sandwich.
Oh, it looks disgusting.
Yeah.
Oh, what is it he says? No one makes mashed potato sandwiches like you. And it's like, why would you have a mashed potato sandwich anyway?
Yeah, just by your bed. I presume it's been sat there all night, so it's cold, maybe a little bit stale.
Disgusting.
Delicious. But then you get a bit of exposition where they're talking about, aren't you supposed to be at the, where is it, the work, the convention?
It's like the invention convention.
Yeah. And they said, like, oh, what time does it start? 9 o'clock. Well, what time is it now? Oh, it's 10. But he's in Leeds. The convention's in London. He's already an hour late from when the convention starts. And yet, before he's even in London, he goes to his workplace for a bit.
Yeah. And
like the time frame, I know it's not supposed to matter, but like the time frame in a lot of this stuff doesn't make sense.
No, because how long would it take to get to Leeds to London?
Well,
a few hours at least.
I'd say you're probably talking an hour and 40 to 2 hours.
No, it's got to be longer than that, surely.
Not really. Maybe 2 hours sounds about right.
I guess depending on which kind of mode of transportation you take.
Yeah, but my assumption is he goes on the train because you don't really see him with a car at any point. So that was my assumption.
Unless he flew.
Won't surprise me. Just drives a lemon. No wheels on it. It's not a car. Not like a lemon car, like an actual lemon. Just rolling down a road.
And he said once he realises he's late, he shout. We're gonna have to bleep it, so they're not gonna know what we're saying. Yeah. But he says,
yeah.
And when he says that, he's saying it to the audience.
Yeah, Bars Bank.
Bars Bank.
Bars Bank.
Yeah,
there
not Bars Bank. See if you can
decode the message.
Decode with that and figure out what we're actually saying.
Yeah, but he says it directly to camera.
Yep.
Is that an attempt at a fourth wall break?
Breaks the fourth wall, which just looked really bad.
Yeah.
And then there's like a montage sequence where
like
he's
rushing to get ready.
Yeah, he's spraying shaving foam on his face, and he's just, why?
Brushing in teeth and shaving at the same time.
Just brush your teeth, whack some deodorant on, get your clothes on, and go.
Yeah.
Don't go through all the it's clearly done for comedy purposes, like
comedy.
Quotation marks. Comedy. That's another thing. This film is not funny.
No, we got maybe 3 genuine laughs.
Yeah, there were. Well, okay, so there were 3 or 4 little jokes in this that did get a chuckle,
but they weren't from the lemon.
No, they were from other characters.
Yeah,
but I would say that covers like what 10% of the film.
Yeah,
the other 90, it's really not funny.
No. Also, in the getting ready montage, we see his ass for the first time.
Yeah, and it's a close up as well.
Yeah, it's the first of many. And
why?
What, I don't want to see his ass.
No, nor do I. It's not needed.
There's a lot of in this. There's a lot of and it's...
Are we on about the actual or are there people in this who we think are and
the people that made it, yeah.
Oh, that's it. He gets to London and he's saying to Rosie, like, no, I won't flirt with any other woman. You're the only girl for me. And then it cuts to him in London staring at a billboard with a group of other men, like builders, very stereotypical, staring at a billboard of Kelly Brook. And all these men are going, whoa.
That is the stereotypical British man, and I don't know why you think that's weird.
Yeah. To anyone listening who's not from England, by the way, please know that, yes, we know most men these days are absolute but not all British men are like that. And can I also just say, not once have I, as a British man, have I ever seen a group of men staring at a billboard of a model going, whoa.
The closest you'd ever get to that is like they're staring at a billboard for like a new games console or something. You know,
and they're like, I really want one. Yeah. I've got to go get that.
I want to play the remaster of Red Dead. Also, before he goes to London, he nips into his workplace so that him and Rosie can have a scene before he off for the rest of the film.
Yep.
To establish their relationship, and then there's also Douglas.
Oh God,
Douglas.
Such a pointless character.
Yeah.
And I was saying this while we were watching it. The really shameful thing is that he's played by a pretty good actor. Mm-hmm. I can't remember his name, but I've seen him in other things, and he's been good in other things. And it is just such a shame that they cast him in this as this pointless, dumbass, weird character who has no purpose in the story whatsoever.
No.
And I just think...
Other than towards the end, but I suppose we'll get to that.
But even at the end, he doesn't really do anything.
No.
He dresses like Rambo and then hits his head.
Yeah, there's one key moment, which I'll explain when we get to it, I suppose. But then before they go to London, they're like talking about it, and they're like, oh, you know, I might get bummed and stabbed by a terrorist.
Oh, yeah.
Not funny.
There are some
funny,
very dated jokes in this.
Yeah. But I wouldn't even call them jokes.
Oh, yeah, because they're not funny.
They're supposed to be controversial, and the controversialness of them is what's supposed to make them funny.
But they're not funny.
That is not not even remotely a fair assessment of London.
No.
At all. And, you know, like the homophobia in that, the sort of, the racism, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. Well, there is a scene when Doug, you can hear his thoughts, and he's thinking to himself, don't make eye contact with the gays.
Yeah.
And he looks at a guy and he goes, oh, he's gay. And he goes, well, at least there's not any terrorists in here. And he looks at a man who is of a different ethnicity, and he thinks, oh, and it's just like, wow. You took one look at this man, and because he has a slightly different coloured skin to you, you instantly think he's a terrorist. That's problematic.
Yeah, very 14-year-old humour.
Newsflash, people, there are also white people who are terrorists.
Yeah. And then we get into the meat of, this is just the opening sequence now. This is how far in we are.
Yep.
They must have blown the budget on this opening sequence at the start, and then towards the end when there's all these celebrity cameos. I bet you that's where all the budget went.
Probably.
Because all of these celebrities that only have like a line or two each would have sucked up the majority of the budget. There's 2 Spice Girls and Gary Barlow to begin with.
Yeah.
And then there's more to come later on. And it cuts to a news report about the Invention Convention.
Yep.
And now, this is something I pointed out. Keith Lemon originated on ITV2 on Celebrity Juice.
Yes.
So I very much assumed that this was going to be an ITV production. But it's not. It's not related to ITV at all. No. And so, like, you know, like, my example is Doctor Who, which I suppose is like a different thing entirely why they do this, but there's like a world-building thing. When there's news reports, they use actual BBC news.
Yes.
There's a couple of other ones that they made specifically for the show, but they use BBC ones to make it feel more real world and make it sort of familiar. But they make this like bogus news network up, and I wonder if maybe ITV were like, nah, you're not using our news studio to film this bullshit. Which just it did make me laugh. That
one of the credits that pops up is it says the screenplay was written by Lee Francis, aka Keith Lemon, and I have no idea if I'm saying this name correctly. Paul Anganawella? I have no idea. I'm just going to call him Paul. Who also directed the film. My, sir, you should be ashamed of yourself.
How would you even direct this? It's literally just a farce.
It's just...
Yeah.
But then the same thing goes to Lee Francis. Like, you wrote this thinking this was funny. Do you know the rating of this on IMDb?
It's like 2 point something, isn't it?
2.6.
It's 0 on Rotten Tomatoes.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah. No, this is something that I made a note of around this time, was that so far, this has been nothing like what Keith Lemon is like on actual television. They're like trying to characterise him, they're trying to give him backstory, and it doesn't work. You could literally swap out Keith Lemon and create a new character.
Yep.
And give them the same personality, and the film would still work the same. Why the did it have to be Keith Lemon?
Nothing about this film works.
Well, no.
But then, if there was no connection to these previous properties, why on earth would anybody watch this film?
Yeah, why would they make it in the first place? It's
exactly
made because it's Keith
If
Lemon.
It's just a standalone piece, that is just a pile of shit. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, I'm waffling here. But there might still be people today who are still fans of those shows, and maybe they might come across the movie and be like, oh, it's Keith Lemon from that show. Let's watch it. It's because of the already existing properties.
The familiarity that'll draw you in.
Yeah. Jedward.
Oh, sake, Jedward. Right, I don't know if we have any American listeners, but I hope that we do. But you're going to have no idea who Jedward are.
No. Again, just Google them.
Yeah, have a little Google. Two brothers, Irish singers, was on a show called The X Factor, which is equally shit.
Quotation marks. Singers.
That sums up my opinion on Jedward.
Oh, Joel. God. In case you didn't hear it, Joel let one go, and I believe the smell is starting to spread.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, Jedward, they were on the X Factor. They were shit, but they're like all that Ireland has to offer. So when they went in for Eurovision, they represented Ireland, and that's about the extent of their career, other than this piece of shit film.
Their cameo in it again is pointless. They one of the inventions that are there is this guy who's made a drink of some kind, and
which is just water.
Yeah, clearly, and
because it's clear.
Nice. He gives it to the brothers. They drink it and they go, "How does it make you feel?" It makes me feel like it makes me feel like I want to dance. And there's just this.
They do like. How would I describe it? It's like the Macarena on crack. But hyped up with that really annoying Jedward energy.
Yeah. Oh, it's so irritating. So ungodly irritating.
Mm-hmm. Here's a note I wrote. I would argue that thanks to Eurovision, Jedward have more cultural significance than Keith Lemon. And that's saying something.
Wait, weren't they on X Factor?
Yeah, but then they went on to represent Ireland in Eurovision. Like the Eurovision Song Contest. Yeah, it's on YouTube.
Oh,
yeah, so Jedward as a brand is more recognisable.
No, don't say that, because that might make some producer or investor think Jedward the movie.
Let's do it.
No, do not do it. Please don't. It's bad enough we've got Keith Lemon the movie. It's bad enough we have Jedward in general. It's bad enough we used to have One Direction in general. Please stop.
I've warmed to One Direction.
No, off, Joel. You
are so viscerally angry right now.
I'm so sorry.
I can see veins.
Sorry.
Ben, it's okay.
It just makes me feel a certain way, Joel.
It's just some bad people making films and singing songs. It's okay.
But they don't deserve it.
You're at home. You're safe. Breathe in through the nose. There we go. We're feeling calmer.
Okay, just think my happy thoughts.
Keith
Harry
Lemon in a
Styles.
grave.
No!
Keith Lemon in a grave. So Keith Lemon's invention at the Invention Convention.
It's a pole.
It's a bollard.
Yeah, it's called secure pole.
So the idea is that you fit it at the end of your driveway so you can raise and lower this pole so that when you park, your car is safe. But if thieves were to steal your car, they could just drive around it.
Yeah, a rather dumb invention. And it was at this point where I was sat there thinking, is this really the plot of the film?
Yeah.
And to which you responded with, there's a plot?
Yeah. Shocking. But they've tried. Succeeded is a different realm.
Well, yeah, they have not succeeded. But I would go as far as to say they weren't really even trying.
No. The thing is, it's not even like, like it could have been like a series of Keith Lemon style sketches that were strung together loosely with some kind of linking thread.
Yeah.
But it wasn't even close to that.
No.
It wasn't like sketch comedy, which is kind of the vibe that Keith Lemon normally exists in. They genuinely were trying to put a story to this, and it flops.
It was so bland, like, because I'm sat there. As soon as I asked myself, is this seriously the plot of the film? I then started to ask, where's the conflict here? What's the word I'm thinking of? Where's the draw? Where's that hook? That's the word I'm looking for. Where's the hook that's really going to grip me into this?
The hook is Keith Lemon.
Again, because of the character's popularity. And again, the people who made this, the people who funded it, they didn't give a shit about the story. Because there isn't really a story. And if you're someone who does look at this and think, no, there is a story, it's not a f***ing interesting one. It's just bland, boring, pointless, dull. It explores things that I could not give two f***s about. There's a whole bunch of...
What does it explore? Was there themes? Was I supposed to learn something from watching this film? What was explored? Define that. I'm confused. All that I've explored is don't buy £1 DVDs from a charity shop. Which is arguably a bad message, because now I'm not going to give to charity anymore.
That's where Joel bought a copy of the DVD.
I saw it, and I sent Ben a photo, and I was like, oh, should I? It was £1. It was £1.
I think that was £1 too much.
Yeah. It really was. The best thing to do for that charity would have been to just unsell the DVD, pay, no, that wouldn't work. But, don't...
What? The staff are paying the customers
not to buy it. Oh, no, yeah, please get rid of it. I don't care if you want it or want to buy it, just take it.
Please take this film. We will pay you. We'll pay you to take this right now. Might be a good business move, I don't know.
Yeah.
But when I said about exploring, I meant I'm using quotation marks, the plot in this, the amount of cameos in it, the amount of unfunny jokes that are in it.
So by explore, do you mean watching the film?
Yeah.
Have we explored this film? Oh, God.
I may have given this film a bit too much credit.
No, I think you're ripping on it quite adequately. Oh, God. So we meet a tissy-pitty guy.
Oh, did we ever find out what his name was?
No, I don't think so. I think they did mention it.
I think he might have, but we just didn't care.
Yeah. No, again, played by an actor that I've seen in other things, and I feel like he's very much reducing himself to a very low.
Yeah. See, I feel like I've seen him in something, but I can't quite pinpoint where I've seen him.
I know his wife played Zainab in EastEnders.
Yeah, another...
good actress.
Yeah, she's all right in EastEnders. She's terrible in this. But then everyone's terrible. Everyone is terrible in this.
That's not exactly a low standard for the entire cast.
No.
So this guy's invented a phone with no buttons. The film came out in 2012. In 2012, I'm fairly certain we had phones with no buttons. Like,
Yep.
am I wrong? Am I misremembering? Is it the Mandela effect?
No, I'm pretty sure we did, because I'm pretty sure at the time, the next big thing that came out that year was the iPhone.
Yeah, and the name of it is like an acronym that I can't f***ing remember, and I'm not going to go back and look at it because I cannot look at this film any longer.
No.
But the acronym is Tissy Pitty, and it's so that they can have this little interaction where they're stuttering over it, so Keith Lemon can say
Yeah.
comedy.
We're going to have to bleep that, so kissy lippies. I don't think that's any better, really.
How do you I was trying to think of a way of saying it without saying it, but I don't think
Tissy pitties.
That's the name of the thing.
No, you said
Yeah.
Tissy pitties.
Yeah, but the whole reason... Oh my god, we're reenacting the scene. The reason it's called the Tissy Pitty is so that they can stumble over the word and say...
Oh, I've just realised that I'm saying Tissy Pitty, but I just because I thought I was just swapping the letters for
Wait, we're watching it again, Ben. The horror. Oh my god. Oh god.
Oh yeah. They like sort of riff a little bit, and then he gives Keith Lemon the phones.
Yeah. Well, he gives him a phone.
Yeah.
Well, physically gives him a phone, but then he's like, you can have all of them. But like, what does he do with them?
He's like, oh, you can sell it and I don't know, rebrand it and make some money.
Yeah.
Or something. Oh, this plot was just so disinteresting.
Yeah. So honestly, it feels like they did like a focus group, and they're like, what are kids of this 14 to 16 demographic into? And they were like, iPhones. And so they were like,
phones with no buttons.
yeah. Well, they were like, well, obviously, like iPhones are branded by Apple, which is a fruit, and so that they've sort of jumping ahead here. The phones are branded lemons.
Thank you for defining what an apple is.
Yeah. They're a fruit that grow on trees. Squirrels like them. We're rebranding the podcast to just explaining fruit after this. So grapes, children. Right. So then, I don't know, he leaves the convention. I sort of phased out for a bit, to be honest. And I tuned back in when he's like, the convention's over, he's all disappointed, and he's like, oh. But then he mentioned something about ordering them poles. And he's like,
Oh yeah.
I really hope I didn't order 2,500.
It was in. He was. You could tell he was deliberately emphasising his accent. Mm-hmm. Oh, it was irritating. He's like, I hope I ain't got 2,500 poles. Oh god, it was so irritating.
And then he has like a hallucination of his partner in London with him.
Oh, on the bridge.
Yeah, and he hallucinates, but starts as a up.
Yep.
And then escalates.
We're gonna have to bleep something. They perform adult acts with each other.
Fellatio. But it's a hallucination, and he's just doing it in the street.
But it goes on and on and on.
Yeah. And like all the way through it, he's kind of making like, oh yeah, making like noise and comment.
Yeah.
The one that stuck out to me was dribbling like a fried egg sandwich. That's not a nice visual.
No. And then there's that northern couple who see him, and he's like, "You dirty London."
He's not even from London. He's from Leeds. He's one of them.
He's
It's the northerners that are the dirty.
He's one of them. That's brilliant.
And then we cut to like back up to Leeds to Rosie, and there's a guy who's dropping off the delivery of all these poles that he's ordered by mistake.
Yep.
And like they sort of explain what happens if you miss the payments, and there's like a reconstruction.
Oh my god, yeah.
Of someone having their foreskin removed. So if you miss a payment on something, you don't go into debt. Doesn't affect your credit score. You know, you don't like have a term of repayments in any way. No. You lose your foreskin. Funny joke.
Yeah, funny
joke.
a comedy.
Comedy.
But who is the person who commits the horrific act of cutting off your foreskin?
God. It's I can't remember his fucking name.
Evil Steve.
Evil Steve, that's it. Evil Steve is not in this film a lot.
No.
And I actually think Evil Steve was what gave us the actual biggest genuine laugh, and it's not even from him.
No, he's also played by Lee Francis, and he's basically the villain of the film. Although, I just farted as well.
This is the new podcast. Welcome to Fartcast.
Yeah, he's basically the villain of the film, although I don't really know why.
Because he doesn't really interact with Keith Levin until literally the very end, and they don't even literally share a moment of screen time other than when Keith crashes through the roof at the end, but I suppose we'll get to that.
And it's literally because Keith Lemon ordered 1 million poles and Rosie's refusing to take them and pay for them. Mm-hmm. And so Evil Steve gets involved.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden he's just the villain of the movie. But what really made me laugh is that Evil Steve has a theme song.
Yeah.
He comes in, and all you can hear is Evil Steve. Oh, what is it? Naughty Geordie.
Yeah.
That bit did get a chuckle out of me.
Yeah. There's the strip club scene with Paddy McGuinness. There is
a lot of nudity in this film.
Yeah, and it feels self-indulgent. It feels like the film's been constructed in a way so that Lee Francis can get as much contact with people's private parts as humanly possible.
Breasts.
Now, that is conjecture, pure conjecture. I don't know that for a fact, and it does seem very on-brand with Keith Lemon's humour, but it's not a good look.
No.
When the humour that he's making for television and, by extension, for this film, is him harassing people.
In a way, yeah, because, as you say, it is based on the character, it's on brand. I get it from that point of view. However, also knowing that he co-wrote the screenplay, and I don't know, I can imagine him sat down with Paul, the co-writer and director, being like, oh, we should have this, we should have this, we should have this, because that's going to be great for the character. I just can't help but think, again, I could be talking complete shit, but I cannot help but think that in the back of my head that Lee Francis is there, also thinking in the back of his head, I've got an opportunity here to be sat on a set with a bunch of naked women and have one of them rub her in my face.
Yeah, which is exactly what happens.
What happens.
There's no need for it, because he's having a conversation with Paddy McGuinness. I don't even know what Paddy's name is. What were they even talking about? About what? What was the purpose of this scene? Because there's a bit where Paddy McGuinness is going to give him some advice, and then he gets motorboated or something.
So I also can't remember what they talk about. The listeners that are going to be there thinking, "Oh, you forgot what they talk about because that's not what you were focusing on. You were focusing on the naked women."
Yeah, but no, there is no purpose for the shit. I think it's so that Keith can lament oh, my poles aren't selling very well. I'm going to have to think of something else. And I think that's where he first learns about no, it's not where he first learned about the fixer. So he's literally just, oh no, my poles aren't going to sell, and I've accidentally ordered loads and loads of them. So what am I going to do? And Paddy McGuinness is there, and it's a character that he knows despite the fact that he doesn't know anyone in London. And he's like, here's some advice for you, lad. And he starts talking, and then the woman on Paddy's lap jams his face into her but he's still talking, because that's very cartoon humour, and he's like...
Yeah, it's all muffled. It's all meant to be funny, highs. His face is in between her so funny comedy.
And then when he comes out, he's like, and I never work with dogs and animals. Dogs and children or something. I don't know. It's unimportant. But yeah, that scene exists.
And then that scene ends with Paddy McGuinness leaving with his mum.
Yeah, come on, mum.
And there's just an old lady sat next to him.
Yeah. And Keith's like, see you later, and then sort of turns to the camera a little bit, and he's like, can't believe she's called It's American for It's also British slang for
Yeah. Again, for any American listeners in England, means vagina. So I was going to say another word then, but I would have had to have bleeped it. So
To take from the in-betweeners, front, bottom.
bottom. Oh, Rosie finds out she's pregnant.
Yeah, because and the pregnancy test only becomes relevant because oh my god, what's his name?
Doug.
He comes in trying to write something down, pretending to be Keith to the evil Steve's little guy, and the pen's not working, so he sucks on it and he's like, oh, it tastes like piss. Turns out it's a used pregnancy test. Funny comedy.
Yeah, you're supposed to laugh.
Yeah.
If you're not laughing, die.
Yeah. When this was hell, pen. When it was revealed about the pregnancy test, Ben went, oh, me, he's reproducing. I feel like that's an adequate response, to be honest with you.
Baby lemon? No.
Lemon drop.
No. I'll soak you in my lemon drops.
Gross. So then we get to the scene where Keith Lemon gets mugged. And we were like, please mug him, stab him. Please.
He gets approached by a gang of chavs, who, again, if you're American or if you're from another country listening, a chav is a thug, a violent youth.
A hooligan.
A hooligan.
Ruffians.
Yeah. And they're like... You young ruffians!
Scallywags!
Heathens! He's approached by these chavs, and they're like demanding him to give him his money. And then Keith Lemon starts going like, "No, lads, I understand your struggles. Like I'm one of you. Wagwan!"
Because comedy.
Funny, laugh, or I'm gonna shoot your dog.
I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say that.
And Rosie calls him. Does Rosie call him, or is it Doug?
I think it's Doug to begin with.
Yeah.
And he sort of blurts out that she's pregnant, but he's
No. Rosie's on the phone, and then Doug picks up the other phone.
Oh yeah,
and
he
he's
says, "Yeah, you're pregnant."
Joined on the call.
Yeah, but he's trying to say to these kids that like Billy Ocean's his dad, and they're like, "Who the is Billy Ocean?" And then he starts.
And that was a weird thing to add into this. Why Billy Ocean?
I don't know. Maybe it's something that came up on Celebrity Juice. It's like a joke that they decided to carry over into the film. I don't know. But then he starts singing Billy Ocean, and then there's the people on the phone who are trying to talk to him, and then there's the chavs being like, "Oh, like thuggish, like, come on then." And it was really overstimulating. There was loads of voices, loads of screaming, loads of
It just dragged. Like Keith Lemon sat standing there in the middle of this gang, and he's like he's like singing Billy Ocean. He's going, "I'm one of you." He's shouting Wagwan. He's on the phone to Rosie. He's on the phone to Doug, and all of this is happening. And the gang are just standing there. Now, if you are someone who lives in England, right, and if you've ever experienced, I hope most people haven't experienced something like this, because I know it can be incredibly terrifying.
Yeah, traumatizing.
Yes. But if you are in England and you see a gang of chavs who give you a funny look, or if they are following you...
Or in this instance, like, they're surrounding you and they're, like, uncomfortably close.
Yeah. The best thing for you to do is to literally just give them what they want. Mm-hmm. Because in that kind of situation, if you are in a subway and you are surrounded by a gang, you are completely outnumbered, and most likely they will have a knife on them. Okay? That is just a fact. That is not an opinion. And if they pull a knife out and say, "Give me your money," give them your money. Just give them anything that you have that they might think they could get some money out of. Because if you don't, if you retaliate, if you even attempt to fight back, or do the stupid, dumb shit that Keith Lemon does in the film, where he's like singing, what's his name, Billy Ocean, and he's like going the whole Wagwan, you're going to get stabbed.
Yeah. While I think you are offering some excellent advice, I don't think anyone in that situation would realistically behave like Keith Lemon.
I know. I'm just saying.
No, but I respect you trying to use this piece of film to be educational. What not to do in this instance,
No.
children? Okay. At this moment in the film, I also want to point out that so he gets mugged. We find out about the fixer because it pops up as a random text on his phone by the TCPT man. But so we find out about this other character called the fixer, who is quite integral to the film. Integral through just because there's no build up to it; it just comes through as a text. And then the phone gets kicked away. The guy, the thugs knock Keith out. And he has a little moment where it's he's like, "Welcome to my inner conscience," or whatever. And my note here is, "I don't want to be in your inner conscience." And at this point, Ben paused the film and put his head in his hands.
I was at this point, I was really beginning to feel drained.
Yeah, I think this that might explain why you felt that way. So there's a bit where he's like, "Oh, can you guess what I'm thinking about right now, whatever?" And he's like, "I'm just here to fill time till I wake up." No. You're just here to fill time in the script.
Yeah.
You are just killing time. And this, again, drags on. And, so he says he's literally there to fill time. And what was he thinking about, Ben?
Bums.
Lots and lots of bums.
Yep.
And it just, again, more images of, like,
yeah.
It just seems so pointless. And then he says his iconic little phrase from Celebrity Juice as we return back to the film out of his inner conscience. "I'll see you through. If I don't see you through the week, I'll see you through the window." Which I don't understand.
No.
But I think that might be the perfect place to leave it for today. So,
yeah, we saw the time on the recording.
Yeah.
Which means we are going to have to do a part 2 of this.
Unfortunately, we're very sorry. We have a lot of complaining about this film to do.
Yeah.
But in the interim, watch some better films.
Please.
Try and lift your spirits after experiencing even us talking about Keith Lemon the movie. And we hope that you watch better things than what we did.
Yes. And if you're even the slightest bit curious as to what Keith Lemon the film is like, I would like to quote the popular phrase, "Curiosity killed the cat."
Oh, it really did. And on that note, if we don't see you through the week, we'll see you through the window.
Well said, Joel. Guys, thank you so much for listening to today's episode. If you liked it, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel.
You can follow us on Instagram at Ben and Joel Reviews.
You can also follow us on Twitter, or X as it's now referred to, at B_J_reviews123. And we will see you next week.
Take care.
Take care, my loves.